All right, what is up, geeks, nerds, and gamers? Welcome back for another quick little video just on an update that the devs put out just a few minutes ago on their Discord. They linked it on their Discord to their main website. So we got ourselves a little bit of a developer update on this very early morning of July 9th. So the first thing I want to do here is I just want to go through this a little bit, and then I want to talk about I'm really happy with the information that they gave us here, but I want to talk a little bit about what I would like to hear next from the developers, something they've been silent on and something that I have been personally really vocal about. And I really want to know where the devs are going to be taking the Landsrad and the faction system in the future, because right now it's just dying on the vine, and that's a really big issue for me. So let's take a look at this. Let's get the good in there, and then let's talk a little bit about what we need to see, hopefully coming from the devs in the future, so that we can look forward to how the game is going to change and evolve, and ultimately, I hope, get better in the future. So we start here. Hello, sleepers. This letter begins with an apology. On Monday, the 7th of July, we patched out a layout change to the Deep Desert, which caused several areas of the PvE Deep Desert to become PvP enabled. This was an oversight in our development process and internal communications, which led to people suffering an unfortunate amount of lost bases and equipment. This change was intended to only occur with the next Coriolis cycle and not impact the ongoing cycle. We're incredibly sorry that this happened, and we want to acknowledge that this should have been handled better. Changed our internal processes as a result of this and will be better in the future. Hopefully something like this doesn't just happen in the future. So they won't even have to handle it better in the future. It just won't be a problem again. Is what we're looking forward to. We're working to reimburse vehicles and items to the best of our ability to players who are impacted by this. You can expect the reimbursed materials, items, and vehicle components to show up in the in-game claim rewards tab by the end of this week. So this is fantastic. I know a ton of people. We've had a little bit of difficulty with the Dune development team in getting some reward or some reimbursements for lost items due to bugs and mistakes and things like that in the past. And they actually do touch on that a little later in this update. But it's great to see that this isn't one of those ones where they're going to be like, sorry, we made a mistake, and there's nothing we can do for you. There seems to be some serious effort being put forward here to reimburse those individuals who were most affected by it. So, huge win for all of those people. And I am sorry for all of you. I personally didn't have a base in any of those areas, so I didn't lose anything due to that. But I do feel really bad for the people who did. I know there were people who were literally losing like a week plus of materials, resources, vehicles, stuff like that, because they thought they were safe, right? And that was the best place for those things to be stored because it's right there on the edge. It's right there where you're going to need to be. There's no point in taking everything back into the Haga Basin every night when you have a PvE enabled zone right there. So people, brought a ton of stuff in with them and then spent an entire week building up more stuff. And then just to lose all of that must have been utterly demoralizing. So hopefully those of you who are hit the hardest are able to get back some of your resources, some of your vehicles. Most, if not all of those things would be ideal. But even just being able to get back something is going to really help to take the sting out of that loss, I hope. So good luck to each and every one of you out there for that. Moving forward, as we approach the end of the launch phase, we wanted to take a moment to discuss some of the other issues that are happening in the game. Our primary focus, which continues over the next weeks and months, will be to remove all identified exploits, third-party cheat engines, client hacks, or in-game exploitation of game mechanics. In addition, we will be hard at work improving the game, adding quality of life features, and addressing critical gameplay issues. So that's a lot of stuff. I mean, that's like everything that they should be doing. But they do make specific mention of a lot of things having to do with exploits, cheats, stuff like that. So I think that's probably where a lot of the focus is going to lie. We have a zero tolerance for the type of player behavior that has an impact on the experience of other players, and we will continue to focus on ensuring that players can enjoy the game as it is intended. If you see someone cheating or exploiting, please report them to us using the available reporting channels. We've taken action on several hundred players who have abused exploits, cheats, and hacks, and there will be more waves of bans coming as we identify further culprits. In addition, we have fixed the following exploits thus far: account/permission spoofing, fantastic; building dismantling item duplication; increased damage or insta-kill attacks; vehicle inventory VVT item duplication; vehicle ownership takeover; projectile weapon rapid fire from rockets from ornithopters; and the durability full repair. This actually got rid of your reduction in max durability as well when that exploit was running. So fantastic job getting rid of it. We have a team dedicated exclusively to fighting hackers and fixing exploits. This is honestly an important thing, I think, to state and to put out there explicitly. I would like to even maybe know a little more about this team, a little more about their numbers, about maybe some of their backgrounds and stuff like that, because this is an issue. We always hear a lot about, the people who make the audio, the people who do the visuals, the people who write the scripts for the storylines. We hear a lot about, important systems coders who are making a lot of the mechanics and the systems that we're working with when we're in a game. But we don't hear a ton, and maybe that's on purpose, right? Maybe you're trying to keep it obscured because you don't want people to know, based on certain people's backgrounds or something like that, the vectors that they might use to try and mitigate some of the hacks. Or maybe if you've hacked a system that that person has been working on in the past, maybe you know of an exploit that maybe they've overlooked before and they're going to overlook again. I don't know if that's a part of it. I could see that maybe being part of it, but I would love to know a little bit more about these folks, right? Let's prop up the people who are actively fighting against the exploiting, fighting against the hacking. Let's make those individuals known. Let's tell us a little bit about them. And then somebody just subscribed. Thank you, Joe Randolph. I'm not streaming right now, but I did just get a subscription through on my YouTube. So, Joe Randolph, if you end up watching this video, I did actually get that notification in my audio because it runs through my OBS and all that stuff is connected. I don't turn it off when I make these videos because I don't normally get subscribers when I'm not actively doing live streams. So super cool. Joe Randolph, welcome. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel. That's hilarious. But anyway, I'd love to hear a little bit more about these individuals. I would love to, just be able to prop them up a little bit, be able to give them that sort of, gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? That sort of famous person vibe, right? These should be our stars. These should be the star of the shows because hacking, exploiting, stuff like that really is what destroys MMO and live service games, right? It is a scourge of the MMO and live service world. So let us know about these people, right? Put out some bios or something like that. Let's get to know these folks on this team. Let us know a little bit about the size of that team. Some of the things they're working on, because we would love to be able to specifically give those people some love when we see exploits getting taken down, when we see hacks getting taken down, when we get to see people who have been abusing the system and abusing the other players finally get taken offline and lose all their stuff, right? We want to share in y'all drinking those hacker tears with you. And I think that'd be really fun for the community. So definitely, hopefully we can see something like that. So over the next few patches, they will be introducing additional efforts to prevent exploits by increasing security on several client-server communication layers, performing additional penetration testing against common attack vectors, and auditing our item and inventory systems to make sure they are resistant to item duplication. Fantastic. These are all important things. Everything that was put out in this dev update, I think, was important information to put out. And this last little bit here is about item and vehicle loss. Something we've been reading a ton in the Reddit has been that people are fairly upset with how unresponsive and unhelpful the support team has been able to be. And they actually touch on why that is here, and that they're actually going to go back and try and reimburse people from maybe even a couple of weeks ago who lost things when they weren't able to identify those losses as bugs. And because they've changed some of the internal workings in how they're logging some of that, maybe they're going to be able to realize, okay, hey, this was a bug. let's go back to this ticket that we closed before. Let's try and get this person out their reimbursement. It's a little late, right? You probably already remade the item. You probably already have all those resources back. It's the thought that counts. It's the effort that counts, right? It's going back, trying to make people whole. That's important. So that's actually kind of a crazy thing for them to be doing. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't think I've ever seen a company try and reopen closed tickets to do a better job on a second pass because they have more tools to do so. Most of the time, I think they just write that off and be like, well, what are we going to do about it? So we apologize to people who have lost vehicles or other resources due to various bugs in the game. These events can be rather thorny to untangle because there is legitimate item loss due to game mechanics, which makes it difficult to identify item loss due to bugs. Totally understandable. At launch, we lacked the tooling and logging to identify and reimburse all circumstances of item loss, but we have been working on improving our tools so that we can better reimburse players for vehicle losses due to bugs. There is a backlog of customer support requests, so we beg your patience when waiting for tickets to be resolved. Our aim is to resolve support tickets as quickly as we can, including tickets that were closed near launch when we weren't able to properly reimburse players. If you have lost a vehicle to a bug and require assistance, please submit a ticket in-game and include vehicle type, tier, and when and how you lost the vehicle. So this is the big one, though, including tickets that were closed. Seriously, I've never, ever seen those words before. I don't know of a single game that I have ever played in my past that is going to go rifling through basically the garbage can for complaints that players have made in the past to try and go ahead and make that right now that they have a better system for correcting those losses. Is it going to be perfect? Absolutely not. Is every person who loses something to a bug going to get it? Absolutely not. Are we going to continue to see bugs in this game that are going to cause people to lose items? 100%. It is a live service game. It is an in development live service game where they're constantly pushing out updates. They're going to be pushing out DLCs. They're going to be doing stuff like that. We're going to be losing stuff. Problems are going to happen. Hopefully, you're not unlucky enough that it happens to you every single time, but it is going to hit probably every player at one point. So as long as the dev team continues to put significant and explicit work towards making those things as right as they possibly can, right? By taking the time to go back to already closed tickets and try and take a second pass, right? To going back and doing the right thing as often as possible, as much as possible, then I'll stand by that, right? It's when the effort stops and it's when the communication stops is when I'm going to say, okay, well, now you don't have my sympathy. You don't have my empathy. I'm not on your side anymore because you're not taking steps anymore. You seem to have given up, and so I've given up on you. So that's not the situation here. We have tons of effort going into this. Fantastic job. The development team has been also working to address the root causes of item loss in game. We have a dedicated team focused on mitigating vehicle and item loss on server crashes, disconnects, server mesh transfers, and traveling between maps. To our players, we appreciate you and your continued support. We have a lot of exciting things planned for Dune Awakening, and despite a few bumps in the road, we're really excited for what the future holds. We hope you are as well. Sincerely, Joel, Vlad, Scott, Oli, and the Funcom team. So yeah, I really enjoyed this post. I think it was succinct. I think it was really informative. It hit on some of the things that have been the biggest motivators of people, I think, leaving the game or planning on leaving the game in the very, very recent past. So all in all, this is great information. The thing that I'm disappointed about, and I think the thing that has been disappointing me for most of the life of Dune Awakening, is the extremely, extremely quiet manner in which things have been looked at as far as the complete failure of the Landsrad and the faction system. This game was billed as a faction PvP game. We have friendly fire on in factions and guilds. Right? You can kill your allies in this game, but it is still a faction PvP game. you are supposed to primarily work together with your faction to win the Landsrat. And right now, the entire system might as well not exist, right? The entire end game loop. And I understand that a lot of players aren't there yet, right? I am super privileged in that I've played this game for about 400 hours since it came out, pushing really close to 400 hours in just a little over 4 weeks. So I've been getting after it, right? I play a lot. I like this game a lot, a lot. And so I've been in the end game since about the third or fourth day since I started playing, right? I've been out in the deep desert. I've been doing stuff out there. I've been working my way up to completely plastanium gear and just pretty much removing myself from the Haga Basin almost entirely. And so I've got to see a lot of the failure of the end game loop. And I understand that the average gamer is going to play, 10 hours a week. And so you're looking at 40 weeks, which is almost an entire year before you put the hours in that I've put in. And so you're not there yet. It's not a problem for you yet. And that's probably, say, 80% of the player base. It just isn't even there yet. It's not even an issue. We're not even having problems. And so I do get that. But I would like to see something like this, right? Something that's succinct, something that hits on the fact that the entire endgame loop is broken, and something that talks a little bit about what some of the potential steps are going to be, right? Because it's not a balance issue, right? I don't care if you're going to change the way scout ornithopters work when they have rockets equipped, right? Because that's not breaking the endgame loop. That's a balance problem. That is a much more minor problem than the fact that the optimum strategy on a server, on a world right now, is for everybody to just be the same faction so that everybody gets the Landsrad Decree reward every week and then just play it as a GVG game and everybody kills everybody. And that's not the end game I signed up for. In fact, that's the opposite of the end game I signed up for. When I thought that this game was just going to be a GVG end game, I was absolutely not going to play it. I used to talk trash about this game to my community all the time when I thought it was just going to be a GVG game, because GVG is horrible. And so I would love to see just what the plan is, right? It doesn't have to happen tomorrow. Honestly, you've got a couple of months before the largest portion of players, the midsection, right? That 60% that all falls right in the middle of an average bell curve, an average distribution. You've got a couple of months probably before those people start hitting that end game and start seeing the cracks in that experience and in that system. So, it doesn't have to be fixed tomorrow, but gosh, I'd sure love to know what you're going to iterate on and what you're going to try and what you're going to look for. So I really hope that everybody enjoyed the video. I hope everybody's happy about some of the things that were talked about here in the developer update. If you have any comments, concerns, questions, if you have something that you would like to hear from the devs that you haven't heard or that maybe they've been a little quiet on, then please put it down in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. I'm streaming Dune live every single day, both here on the YouTube and over on my Twitch channel. So make sure you stop by and say what's up. And again, hey, Joe Randolph, thanks for hitting that subscribe button. Hope everybody has a great night, and I will see you all on the next one.